Today, I want to talk about Souls games and what puts them above every other game in this almost indescribable way. Non Apologetic
Nonsense.
Souls games. I love them. I can't get enough of them. There's something about them, whether it's the environment, the straight up nightmare they throw you into, how they
with
don't...
no explanation whatsoever.
This is the only type of game that I can turn the PlayStation on and start playing it, and then it's like a blink of an eye, and 8 hours has passed. You know, maybe there's a few Metroidvanias I can say that about, but really, it's just Souls game. They don't hold your hand. It's not, you know, I love Assassin's Creed, but it's not like 12 pieces of AI, and you need to go here in this direction, and here's your side missions. It's like, no, bro.
Figure it out.
Yeah, you're on your own. This ain't no kiddie game. I wish I would have found these games when I was younger, though. Now, something interesting I want to talk about is I've been telling you about Souls games for years.
Yeah.
And I assume you listened, maybe, but you didn't choose to play them till about a year or two ago. And then it seemed like once you played your first Souls game, every time I talk to you, you're like, well, now I played Dark Souls 1. And then next time, hey, I'm done with 1. I'm at the end of 2 now. What was it when you first started playing that got you so sucked in that you had to run through the entire fucking series?
I say it's Elden Ring. They got me in. You know, I tried all of them before, you know, when they came out, or even Souls. I remember when it came out, and I tried it. It's like, oh, this looks like a cool game. And then playing it, and it's like, no one will ever beat this game.
My first Souls game was Dark Souls 3, right? And right at the beginning, you have that boss, Grundy or Grunder or whatever. And I think I played him like 3 times, and I was like, this game's stupid. And then it took another year before I went back to it. So you got into Elden Ring, and then you were like, golly gee willikers, I need more of this shit.
Yeah, I have to go back and try again.
So what have you gone through? You've gone through Elden Ring, the entire Souls series, right?
Yes. I need a Demon Souls and a Bloodborne.
Oh, you haven't played through Bloodborne?
No.
Oh, wow.
I've started it a couple times. It's a great game.
Oh, it's top tier, bee's knees, you know? So I thought we'd go through like memorable moments of stuff that really stood out to me. And one of them is Bloodborne. It's you won't know this, and this isn't going to spoil anything, but it's more towards the end. The game gets more about like birth and abortion and fetuses and the cycle of death to life. And it's just so freaky and creepy and interesting. Little things like that make up this whole world. Or like, and I think everybody said this, Dark Souls 1, right? You start at Firelink Shrine, and every area you go to through one means or another, whether it be a hidden path or whether it be an elevator coming up, it all just connects right back to Firelink.
Yeah.
You know, it's really just like a little graph with these, you know, whatever it is, like 6 areas, and then the Firelink being right in the center. You know, that's super cool, you know. In the first one, when you first get to like Anor Londo.
That's the underground.
No, this is like, it's like a castle area. It's like the area where you fight Ornstein and Smough.
Okay, yeah, no, I remember.
And there was one super frustrating part. It's right by a save point. You go down this little pathway, and you have these sort of like gargoyles that are white that come down and kill you. And then as you go up another pathway with death on each side if you fall, there's like these archers up here. And then there's a little runway, and there's like a knight on there, and you have to get past the knight. But if you take a hit from him, it pushes you off the ledge. Do you remember that?
Yeah, you're talking about the little runway. It's all part of like the roof of the castle.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was endlessly maddening to me. In Dark Souls 3, there's a place called, I wrote it down, called Archdragon Peak. It's a hidden area, and you wind up getting a gesture called Path of the Dragon. And then you have to sort of cryptically decode everything in the item descriptions, you know. But if you stand out there on the platform and you do, you know, whatever YMCA type thing, you'll just teleport across this vast gap into a whole new area, Archdragon Peak.
Huh.
I believe that was 3. It's a very vague memory. But it's little things like that, or like Dark Souls 1. Do you remember when you find, or no, this is Bloodborne. Did you make it far enough in Bloodborne where you would find characters and you could choose to send them back to your safe place?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I can only go so far in this to tell you, but that is a mechanic. Now you're going to come across the guy who's covered in bandages, and you start hearing tells if there's a like a murderer running about, right? And you see him, and he's like, I ain't no fucking murderer. But he's like eating someone when you find him. And then you have a choice to send him back to your safe haven or not, or to fight him. Both of those things have they impact your game. I won't tell you what happens with either, but it's just little things like that, especially if you do yourself a favor where you don't like look up what it is and you're just like, fuck it. You know, and it could affect you, definitely. How far did you make it in Sekiro?
Not far at all.
Did you make it to the headless ape?
I don't think so.
There's an area where, if memory serves, it's like you're either in the snow or the ice, and you come across this giant ape.
I never made it out the village where you start.
Oh, well then hell no, you didn't make it here. But you fight this guy. He's a pain in the ass. The whole game was a pain in the ass to me. But you fight this guy, giant ape, and you kill him, and it would have like finishers, and your finisher was, and you take his head off, and it flies off. And then you're like, all right, so where do I go now? All of a sudden, the boss music, this is like 30 seconds later, starts playing again. And his body gets up and he picks his head up off the ground. So it's a second phase, but it's a delayed second phase. You know what I mean? It's after the music stopped, you're celebrating. You're like, well, okay, I'm supposed to be able to get in this wall he's guarding. Why is the door not open? Dun, dun, dun. And then you see him scurrying up with this bloody head.
That pissed me off.
Or like Elden Ring, for example. When you first find that underground area and realizing how big it's actually going to be, that it's essentially a second map, right? You know, and we got the DLC coming up. Now, did you before we go into DLC, you played the regular Souls games and you played the open world. Which style did you like better? The open ring of Elden World or the half open, half linear of the Soul series?
I like the open world.
See, I'm torn because I love the way Dark Souls 3 played out, probably the most. But I could see why they did the open world because, you know, Elden Ring is just Dark Souls 4. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Now, are you having trouble staying away from spoilers on the DLC?
No, I haven't watched any trailers, nothing.
I can't even open Google News app without someone trying to spoil the fucking DLC for me because somehow some people, some YouTubers, whatever, have gotten advanced copies. They already have it.
Yeah.
Now, I think they can only play like 3 or 5 hours because that seems to be the headline on all these news stuff. It'll be like, after the first 5 hours, I found this boss. You better be careful. And I'm like, you know, I ain't looking at, you know, you don't want to look at the picture, you know, to spoil a boss, spoil an area. And I'm seeing endless YouTube videos. You know, I'm not watching them, but it'll say like, here's the new Bloodhound Fane in the DLC, or here's what you need to do immediately when the DLC starts, or I've spent 3 hours in the DLC and I'm going to show you everything. Which is weird because typically maybe they're not able to show gameplay footage, but typically there's an embargo. So like a streamer will be able to get the game in advance, but he can't start putting up actual videos until like a day or two before it comes out. Something's gone on, but yeah, everybody has this, and everywhere I turn, they're trying to spoil it for me. But I haven't watched the trailer neither. When it comes to I remember everything from trailers. Like if they show a little boss fight, I'm gonna remember that somehow in my brain, and then I'm gonna remember like let's say he's on a ledge and it's in a snowy mountain. You know, 6 months later, when I get to that snowy mountain, my brain will go, "There's a fucking boss," and it's that one. You know, so I don't know anything about it. I did see a photo. I think it's from the trailer, and it showed an entire army marching in the middle of the land with everything burning, and it was like an army of the undead.
Shit is happening.
But we are pretty close to the DLC. I'm excited.
Couple weeks away.
Except for one thing. I haven't played Elden Ring in a couple years. And they're going to throw you into like in-game type shit. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have to go in to just remember what the fucking buttons do. Go in, do some duels with some people, you know, run around and kill a bunch of stuff and just, you know, get my game on point. Because I bought the DLC for the newest Horizon game. The DLC is called Burning Shores. And it was like a year or so after I beat the game. And that game has a real complex button scheme. And it threw me in, and it was extremely hard. And then I had to go back. I had to start a new game and go through the fucking tutorial just to remember the basics of what and that kind of ruined it for me. And I don't want that to happen with Elden Ring. I do hear it's fucking huge, though.
Yeah.
My dick. But, I just can't wait. And really, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to lose fucking 3 weeks of my life. And I don't think we've solved what makes Souls games, whatever that secret sauce is that makes them so great, beautiful, and mesmerizing. But I think we pointed out a lot of stuff that adds to it. You know, it's the environment. It's just the rules.
I think it's the challenge.
You think it's the challenge?
Yeah. Like you just being thrown into it. Like there are no tutorials. You might get some message on the ground like, hey, you can hit this button to roll. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Or swing with this one.
That is
but there's
a lot
no
of
guidance. Nobody would be like, hey, you should go up here and take a left, and that's going to get you to here. And then you talk to this guy, and then it's like, nope, go wherever.
Well, see, I'd have to agree with you on a different end of the same point. It's like the frustration of getting stuck at a boss and then finally being able to overcome it, you know?
Right.
Like there were a couple bosses too in Elden Ring that after like the fourth day, I'm like, well, I guess this is where my fucking game ends. You know what I mean? I guess this is as far as I make it into the game.
And then you get them, and it's so rewarding.
It is. Or it depends on the area. You might be like, oh, that was so great. And then you take 4 steps and you're like, fuck. But we will be getting into more craziness when the DLC drops very shortly.
Non Apologetic Nonsense.